broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome and thank you for joining us for our California PGA Chat. My name is Len Dumas, Executive Director for the Northern California section. First things first, we certainly hope that everyone is safe and healthy as we work our way through this tremendous episode and chapter as people and as fellow professionals. Thank you so much for being here this morning. We have nearly 300 people registered for our talk. And again, our job is to continue to bring the most important and up-to-date information as we learn to navigate COVID-19. You know, this has been quite a come together of the industry, deciphering the legislation, the health reports, employment issues, and financial aid, which are components of the 2020 stimulus package. So it's more than just who's open and who's closed for golf at the moment. So to that end, please be sure to stay up to date with your section websites, as we're always updating the links as the information comes through. Very important to thank all the people that have been part of this, because this has been such an unselfish and joint project. Pretty much everyone is available anytime. We've asked them to be there on short notice as events such as the package comes down, and we've had 72 or 96 hours to digest it and make the best of it. And that certainly includes President Susie Whaley, Secretary John Linder, John Easterbrook, our Chief Membership Officer, Scott Wellington, our Section Business Office Senior Director, CEO Seth Waugh, Craig Kessler and Kevin Fitzgerald from the SCGA, Governmental Affairs, Tony Rice. Tony is our man in Capitol Hill, literally. And additionally, today we have Northern California PGA member Greg Raleigh to help us navigate some of the small business administration. So for all those that have been through, we can't thank you enough for being part of this. And a particular shout out to Tom Addis, to Tom and the SCPGA team, Nikki, Bryce, and Jeff for helping us get all the logistics organized. And I'll tell you what, we are in conversation daily on what's happening and making sure that we're doing everything we can to serve our members and grow the game. And to Caitlin Doyle in the Northern California PGA office and our other team members, again, our thanks for keeping us up to date and up to speed and being current. So at the moment, we've got a lot of content, and I'd like to turn it over to Northern California PGA President, Section President Moriarty. Dee Dee?
Thank you. I'll be brief, but I just want to say greetings from San Francisco. We're starting our 30th day of shelter in place, which is kind of crazy, but definitely gets better. And just want to say that I hope that everyone is staying safe and being smart. And really, if there's any silver lining in this, which you always try and find something, it's just you might get to spend a little time with your family. My husband joked the other day, hey, I've never seen you read a book or, you know, practice your guitar because you're always working. So try and find the bright spots as much as we can, but also grateful for the technology that lets us communicate this way in real time and just getting this information out to us. So the best to everybody, and I'm going to turn it over to Tom Addis.
Yeah, thanks, Dee Dee, and it's nice to be on the call, and welcome everyone from Southern California. And we appreciate you being here and spending some time with us the next hour to talk with us and listen to the key points of the day. And I say day, not lightly, because as Len referred earlier, it is a day-to-day occurrence as to something new. So that's why one of the reasons we're doing at least 2 of these right now per week, among other chats that we have. So we appreciate you being on. Urge you to use all 3 websites, pga.org, ncpga.com, scpga.com, to stay up to date on the information that we're making available to you through this crisis. We're going to have a nice conversation today regarding small business association loans. Would also like to remind you that these chats are, we are able to issue 1 MSR credit So many of you signed up with your member number. We appreciate that. If you did not or did not see the capacity to do so, please make sure that you email the section, email me at taddis@pgahq.com or Len at ldumas, D-U-M-A-S, at pgahq.com, and we'll ensure that those credits get applied to your account. So, very important. And we hope that everyone is practicing safety every day, as well as getting out and getting a little bit of exercise here and there, either by yourself or if you're with a partner, 6 to 8 feet apart. So on with that and the rest of the webinar. Thank you, Len.
Okay, thank you, Tom, and thank you, Dee Dee. And PGA Secretary John Linder with us. John, are you on the call? Okay, maybe not. Tony Rice?
Good morning, Len. I'm here.
Oh, okay. Is that you, John? Okay, that sounded like Tony, actually. Okay, Tony, breaking up a little bit. I don't know. I'll turn it over to you. So, ladies and gentlemen, Tony Rice of the firm of Rice Englander, and they are our lobbyists through the California Alliance for Golf. And Tony literally is the man at Capitol Hill. Okay, so not quite. How about John Easterbrook?
Yeah, I think you're having, I did get on just I caught the last of Tom's introduction. I don't know if Seth has made it on yet, and Tony may be having the same problem, and John may be having the same problem. We're receiving busy signals and not being able to access the call. So I don't know if there's a technical glitch today, but it probably took me about 8 times to get into the call. So they may be having the same problems.
Okay. All right, John, well, thank you. Well, John, you're with us now. So you are one of our speakers. May we turn it to you?
Yeah, I only want to just, Seth, are you on by chance? All right. I just didn't want to step on, Seth's message. I'll do, and we're sure John Leonard is not on, correct? All right, I'll take it away then. I'll do the best I can with, what we got going on, and just want to, reiterate before hopefully Tony can, we can get the experts on here and talk about what's going on in California. I'll tell you what we've got going on, at HQ. We continue to meet every morning as an executive group. We meet with Seth meets with the officers at the end of the day, and those are happening daily. The information continues to come in fast and furious, changing by the day and the hour. I spend probably a third of my day working with the allies, which is trying to communicate what's going on all over the country with our PGA members. Last night we were working well into the night on Georgia because there was a stay order issued by the governor at about 6 o'clock, 5 or 6 o'clock Georgia time. And each of these stay orders, as they get implemented, are becoming more and more complex. Your neighboring state in Arizona has, and in Florida, both of those governors have issued statewide stay orders in the last 3 days that basically Trump, that's kind of a bad way to explain this in today's environment, but basically supersede the local orders by the cities and the municipalities, saying that, in those 2 particular states, golf is available as essential recreational opportunity as long as it's done in a safe manner. What's happening across the country is, really dependent upon, the local situation. I saw some absolutely horrible press on golf from Rhode Island and Massachusetts this morning, that golf is being open, or golfers are not playing by the rules. And we're showing up in headlines. So depending upon where you are in the country, we're dealing with those situations in real time, trying to stay ahead of the stay orders and work with our individual PGA operators as best we can in their local markets, try to be a resource. We continue to update PGA.org every night at 5 o'clock Eastern time with the most up-to-date information that we have. Today we are, sorry, I'm flipping my notes here. Today we are introducing Tony Prado, who is we've hired as a third-party consultant out of Washington, an expert who has worked in the White House and has been, spent his whole career in Washington. He's going to, take us through the CARES Act, take us through the bills and things that are coming out of Washington as it relates to sections, EDs, and our officers are on that call this afternoon. We will be announcing a member town hall. I'm getting a lot of feedback. If you're not, please put your phone on mute if you can. Thank you. If we will be doing a member town hall next week, we will be asking for questions today. We will, be asking our fellow PGA members out there to get with their district director if they have individual questions that we want answered, and we will do a 90-minute town hall next week about, again, all the information that's coming out of Washington. It's happening in real time. It's happening really fast. This is a tremendous resource. I was fortunate enough to listen this morning. Jeff Price and I actually sit in Susie and Seth's video, Friday videos. We sit through the taping of those, and Tony was part of that. And I think every member will get something out of what he says this afternoon. So we've got that resource coming out, and I encourage each and every one of you to take advantage of that. Continue to ask your questions of Len and his team, and and Tom and his team, as well as Bill Troyanowski out there. Stay diligent, be safe, and follow what's going on in your local communities. Golf continue. We're starting to work on what golf looks like on the backside of this, being the first sport ready to come out of this. It is relatively safe, done correctly with the social distancing. It's a sport that can be played under the guidance of some of the new health organization guidelines, and we just want to be ready when the timing is appropriate to lead kind of recreational exercise out of what's going on. Obviously, the timing right now isn't to do that right now, and Daryl and the player development group are working hard on contingency planning and programming for the the calendars and the player development. I know Seth would have told you that we still don't have definitive confirmation on championships. That calendar continues to move around with all sports, not just golf, but the allies in golf are working closely together. Seth and Jeff and Kevin Ring are on calls literally hours a day, trying to figure out what is best for our sport. And we are, I think the one thing just that as it relates to you all, we're working through push buttons as it relates to what we can and can't do with member benefits as a 501c6. 501c6 you know, the way the association was set up, we've got pretty strict guidelines as to what we can and can't do, and we're working through those. And I think that probably gives you, not that you all will get asked this, but, you know, PGA Golf Club is closed, and the governor of Florida has a stay order in which golf is allowed. But we closed because we actually have a couple members that tested positive. So in the safety side of things, we thought, you know, for the time being, we will close and you know, wait the appropriate period of time, and then should we be able to open, we will reopen. So you might hear that might trickle out all the way west, but it's you know, that's the rationale. So I think that lifelong learning is live. I think that's important for you all to you know, as a member, you can get on and dip into our libraries. There's no charge for that for the next 90 days at least, and you know, allows you to do some programming, enhance your skills, and get some education that you know, if you haven't had a chance to get into the new libraries, you know, they're fantastic with the 3 career paths. So I encourage you and your staffs to look at that. So that probably is as good a recap as I can do right now, Tom. One other thing that, you know, just on championships is KitchenAid. The senior event that we have was announced the cancellation yesterday for this year. So that's really the first cancellation of one of our PGA events, and that is just going to be postponed to the following year. And that's the first official announcement of an actual cancellation. So, Tom, I think, and Len, I think that's probably gets you guys and gals up to speed as best since our last call. And I don't know if there's an opportunity for questions, but if you guys have any questions, you know, let me know. And if Seth has somehow got on since I've been rambling here, just invite him to jump on and tell you his thoughts as well.
So John, thank you.
John, yeah, John and Len and Tom, sorry, it's Seth. I caught most of that. I had a little struggle getting into the call. I apologize. But, you know, I think John covered, sounds like a lot of it. Happy to touch on anything that you'd like to hear if that's useful.
Seth, of course. So John, thank you for that. And particularly in the difficulty and volume of dealing with our allied associations, the local governments, the industry as a whole, and such. And so, ladies and gentlemen, over on the right, you do see a question box. If you've got a question, we do have one in there now, looks local. So let's see, just received notification that Steel Canyon Golf Club is opening for members only today. Why for members only? Let's circle back to that, to the sender, to just hang in there for a moment. Any questions for John and Seth? Seth, thank you for being here with us this morning.
Happy to be here. Again, sorry to be late. Not without effort.
Hey, Seth, this is Tom. Is it appropriate for you to make a couple comments about dues? I know that we had a great call the other day, and there's been a lot of conversation, positive conversation. Just something briefly to make everyone rest a little bit in regards to our dues.
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to. And I'll say it in the context of, Tom, and thanks for the question, of kind of how we're thinking about, you know, how we're thinking about things. And that, look, we realize how much pain is going on out there, certainly among our industry, but across the world. And you know, it's going to continue, right? There's never been I've been, you know, unfortunate or fortunate enough, I guess, to get through a number of crises, including 9/11, where we lost a building, and the financial crisis, both of which I was running a bank. So it was kind of right in the heart of of everything in those. And in all those cases, the cure was to try and create activity to get people's confidence back up and to go out and do things. And here we have the opposite, cure, right, which is economic suicide. And so, the key is to make sure that we don't kill the patient before we kill the disease. And so how we wake up every morning is trying to figure out how to get kind of everybody to the other side, right? How do we share the pain and think about that? And by that, I mean, every member, certainly every section, hopefully everybody in the industry that matters to us and it matters to us all. And so, we think about, the first response is the government. We're lucky enough to be in a country that can afford to put, $2 trillion, or maybe we can't afford it, but we're leveraging or, borrowing to do it, to put $2 trillion into the system. I think a lot of the programs are smart. It's not going to be perfect. You'll hear from Tony Prado, as John said, about that. Unfortunately, we thought all nonprofits would be included, and sadly, the sevens and the sixes are not, and so that's not perfect for us. But there's still lots of great opportunities for individuals, and to get into the loan part of the SBA, you just can't get into the forgivable part. We're continue to work on that. But I think we would encourage everybody, every individual, every small business to look at that and use that, because it's an incredible resource. Again, it's a little bit of a blunt instrument. There's going to be a lot of waste, and it'll be a crush to kind of navigate through it. But it's a very simple process. I think it's very well thought out, and that's really important. The second part of it we're thinking about is, our sections, right? Our local partners, you all in NorCal and SoCal, and, two of our great sections, and everybody around the country, kind of how do we get them to the other side? Some are going to be, well positioned with, solid reserves and cash flow, and probably won't need, an enormous amount of help, but some will struggle, right? And we understand that. And so what we've done is assigned kind of a team to each one of the sections, and John and Daryl are kind of quarterbacking that, and we're going to, get everybody to the other side and look at individual plans. How can we help? How can we use our balance sheet in addition to theirs to kind of get them through whatever it is that we need to do to get them there? And we're doing that in the context of trying to push back dues as much as, the system can afford, right? So we are going to try to push back dues and help the individual members. I made the analogy the other day that we're kind of on this, ship that's distressed at sea, and we're trying to get everybody to shore. And if we, try to put everybody in the one lifeboat at once, we're probably all going to sink and not make it. If people try to swim on their own to shore, they're probably not going to make it. But if we're calm and we kind of take the needy first and take care of them and get them to shore and let the strong kind of come, a little bit later, we'll get everybody to shore, and this thing will end, and we'll have a business again, and hopefully it happens fairly soon, and we'll have a fairly V-shaped recovery. Unclear yet. I think that's a lot depending on how, quickly we can control this disease and get going. So the dues part of that is very much a part of the conversation about how each section can deal with the, cash flow issues that are facing every business on earth right now. And so stay tuned on that. Obviously, we've pushed back the national dues to October, end of October, and that's sort of a benchmark, I guess, at this point. The last thing I'd talk about, and importantly, is we're trying hard to find a fourth leg of this, which is to create a direct relief fund for the industry. You'll hear it on the video today, but we have, like again, every other business, have combed through our P&L and our balance sheet to try and figure out how we can create some savings and then reinvest those savings into the industry, and put a bit of our reserves into it as well. We'll have an announcement hopefully next week, but we're excited about it. It'll be millions of dollars, not thousands of dollars. I'm sending out letters today to all our allies to try and get them, and I've talked to them all individually about it to step up. We're hoping to change, sort of our millions into, 2 to 3 times that, with any luck. It won't be just for members, because, we can't just write checks to our members, but we can make donations to the overall industry. So it'll be a large kind of group of folks that we hope to help here. It's going to be for individuals, not facilities. It's going to be a workers' relief fund. And we're hoping that, the industry steps up and looks at this as the charity. It's not a PGA charity, it's an industry charity to contribute to. We're hoping tour players will get behind it, et cetera, et cetera. And so stay tuned on that front, but that'll hopefully be a real, a shot of adrenaline to a number of our members that are struggling. So that's our best thinking right now about how we're doing. As John said, the world changes kind of every hour, certainly. We're trying to have the best plan we can have, and then, call the best audibles we can along the way, because they're inevitable. And the quality of those audibles that you call are really what determines, at the end of the day, how well you do in a crisis. We want everyone in the system to know that we are, a family at this time, that we have got everyone's back the best that we can. And we're going to use every resource that we can, try to think about to get everybody to the other side. And that's what we wake up in the morning doing, and that's what we go to bed at night. And that's kind of why we were put on earth. And I'm hopeful that our brand will never be stronger. How you behave in these crises defines you, to a large degree. And we want to be smart, and we want to be human. And I think if we can have, a brain and a soul, then, we will come out of this as an enhanced brand, better positioned, but more united than we've ever been. I want members to realize what the value of being a PGA member is when they need it most, right? And so having each other's back is I think, absolutely the right way to think about this. So, as John said, be smart, be safe. Let's get to the other side, and then we'll have our beautiful game back, and we're going to be part of what the world needs, both from an entertainment standpoint at the highest level. We're likely to be the first major to come back out in your great region, and then have a great Ryder Cup, we hope, and more importantly, what we do every day in terms of giving people a safe refuge and a healthy place to go when they come back out into the light, if you will. So we look forward to that. I think this could be a real kind of actually a growth opportunity for us at the end of the day as a game, as it looks like a safe place to have a walk in the park and be with people that and in a very controlled and safe way. So that's our hope. And thanks for everybody for what they're doing. Hang in there. Good luck, and please let us know how we can help.
So, Seth, thank you. And particularly on the Golf Industry Fund information, I know that you have been spearheading that personally as a representative of the PGA of America. So thank you so much for thinking on that scale. Again, we've got some background noise. If you can mute yourself, please do so. A question has come in. What about PGA program schedule? Has the deadline for acceptable progress been extended since we can attend the seminars, etc., since we cannot attend the seminars, etc., right now? So
I can handle that one. This is John. I think I'll get you the specific language. I'll get it to Tom and to Lynn, but that has been suspended, or the acceptable progress has been amended by the officer group and the board already. So I'll get specifically what it states. It's kind of a date in progress as we navigate through what happens every 30 days at a time, but there's already been an adjustment to that. So I will make sure that information gets to Len and Tom this afternoon.
Hey, John, Tom Brawley is on the line now. I hope he's on.
I didn't know Tom was on. Sorry.
Yeah, he just came on. He was just able to come on. So if Tom's there and can comment.
Tom, can you hear me?
Yes.
So this is John Linder. We've actually extended the MSRs and the acceptable progress 1 year. So everybody that's in the queue right now has 9 years to complete acceptable progress rather than 8. And then there was a question that popped up about PGM seminars. Those are available online currently, at least level 1 and level 2 at this point. So they can go on and register, and they can go through the process online.
Okay, John, thank you for that and welcome. John Linder and John Easterbrook, thanks. And John, any other comments? I know you've had some excitement in Michigan this morning. Yes.
Yeah. No, I mean, thanks for having me. I had a little struggle getting on, and I didn't hear exactly everything that John Easterbrook said, so I don't want to repeat anything that he said. But the one thing I know I caught him saying about the KitchenAid Senior PGA Championship being canceled. With that, I don't know if he touched on what's going to happen with the 35 club professionals that qualified for that, but they will get an exemption into next year's Senior Club Professional Championship, so they don't have to qualify at the local level. They, however, will have a new set of individuals qualify for the 2021 KitchenAid Senior PGA Championship. So unfortunately, they won't have the opportunity to utilize that exemption for the KitchenAid Senior PGA Championship, but they will be exempt into qualifying for the National Senior Club Professional Championship. Yeah, here in Michigan, we're going through a process where we had a news team on our golf course yesterday. I got called by reporters. We're in a stay-at-home situation, but we're also being blessed with some unseasonably warm weather, and we have people walking out on the golf course even though we're not prepared for it to be open. We don't have flag sticks in the cups, and we don't have tee markers out, and we have golf course closed signs everywhere. But it's hard to keep a Michigander off the golf course when it hits 60 degrees in the springtime. So we're under stay at home until April 13th. There's a sense that it'll be extended longer than that. And we have some of our challenges with what's going to happen with private clubs and trying to all navigate through what we're eligible to do and what we're not eligible to do. And obviously, as a 501c7, we're not included in some of the relief benefits that are out there, but we're doing our due diligence to figure out what we can do and what we can't do. I'll speak because I know the staff probably wouldn't speak, but I will tell you, and I've said this numerous times, Seth and John and the entire HQ team has gone above and beyond the call of duty on the behalf of the PGA member. They are working tirelessly. They are working endlessly. One of the nuances of working from home is you never have the opportunity of leaving work, and they don't. So just know that they're doing a great job for the PGA member, and I couldn't be more proud of the staff that we have working for us at HQ.
So, John, thank you, and we appreciate everything that you're doing, and as we keep making our way through the end. Tom Brawley or Scott Wellington, are you on the call?
Hey, Glenn, this is Scott. I'm here.
Hi, Scott. Welcome. So everyone, Scott Wellington is the Senior Director of Section Business Operations and serves as the liaison between ourselves and the HQ leadership team. So Scott, some thoughts for you would certainly be welcome.
I appreciate it. And first and foremost, I hope everybody is safe and well out there. Really not much to add. I think between Seth and John, they covered 99% of it. But we, as you both know, we've been kind of working feverishly to make sure that we touch base with all of your counterparts around the country to get updates as real time as we can. And more than anything, as John and Seth said, we're here for you. We want to try to figure out ways to help and support as much as we can. And certainly, as we continue to evolve into this situation, wherever it's going to land, as Seth mentioned, we want to figure out ways to help, certainly on the economic and financial side as best we can. So whether it's figuring out the best path forward on the dues front to figuring out ways to help support your section operations as we move into the next few weeks and months. That's what we're here to do. Excuse me. So we're going to continue to do the outreach beginning again next week. As Seth mentioned, we're going to start taking a little deeper dive into having discussions with each of you about your finances and doing some forecasting here over the next 30, 60 days, as events, as we know, have been canceled for the most part through at least end of April into May. So that's really it. We're doing the best we can, my team, and touching base and trying to keep the pulse real time on what's going on around the country. So appreciate you guys having me on.
So Scott, thank you so much. I know that I know how busy everybody has been, in the sense that we are, in four different time zones, 5 different time zones actually. And but yet we're still getting messages and texts late at night. So we appreciate everyone working so diligently for us as an organization and association. So John Easterbrook, John, if you're still on, you mentioned a member town hall next week. Do I take that to mean the membership of the PGA of America?
Yes, and obviously we can't have 29,000 members on, so we're working through with Tom Brawley, myself, Scott. We're working through the representation and what that looks like. But your district directors will definitely be on, and we will funnel questions through them. There will also be some kind of selection of committee members that are from various sections throughout the country that will be on. So we will make sure that the member questions, there's an avenue to get those questions to those people and ask to Tony on the call.
Okay, thank you, John. Thank you so much. And Scott and Seth and John Linder. And we've got about 20 minutes to go, turn it to a local impact now and a local flavor. And Tony Rice, Tony, if you're still with us, Tony again is with the firm of Rice Englander in Sacramento and is our man on Capitol Hill. Tony, are you still here? No.
I am. Can you hear me now, Len?
Yes, just fine. Thank you, Tony.
Okay, great. I apologize, everyone. I've been on the call since the very beginning. I had operator error, and I guess I accidentally muted myself. So thank you for allowing me to join all of you. Just real fast again, for those folks who haven't heard my name or been on a call, I'm Tony Rice. I'm based out of Sacramento. Do some consulting work and lobbying activity for the California Alliance for Golf. And we've been doing these conference calls amongst ourselves with CAG, as well as with Len and Tom putting this together. So thank you for everyone's participation during this very difficult time. I'll be brief. I think there's smarter people on this call as it relates to golf's individual activities, and then I am very curious. I want to give opportunity for I believe the gentleman, we have someone on today to talk about the new stimulus package. But just from my perspective, I just want to, what I kind of bring to the table, I think, is just being in government for 25 years and trying to navigate, various iterations of what they try to do. I would just suggest, as we try to find this bridge to the other side of dealing with the virus, is that now we're moving into that aspect of where our workers are going to be impacted. Hopefully the stimulus checks will get to them sooner than later, although there are reports that there's going to be some lag time. We have the various pots of funding in the stimulus package. Here in California, the governor continues to try to stimulate businesses, provide some opportunities so that they can come through on the other side, not just golf, but all businesses. If you do operate a business here in California, just yesterday he announced that up to $50,000 of sales tax would be a bridge loan. You can essentially keep up to $50,000 over the next year and not have to worry about paying it back as a zero interest loan until the next fiscal year. So obviously for those businesses that aren't selling anything. They're not going to be able to take advantage of that in the near future. But hopefully, I think it's the governor's intent that once some of the stay-at-home is lifted, you can start selling goods. They can get more money into the pockets of business owners. So for anyone that's on the call out of California, if that could be helpful, it's something to look into. I'll just leave with this and trying to be brief. As we do move forward with these pots of funding, obviously there's going to be a crush of backlog. I strongly encourage all of you, if you're going to be looking to access any of the various pots of funding, whether individually or as a business, to work through your legislative representatives. And what I mean by that is on the stimulus package, that's going to be handled by your congressmen and women. For whatever state that you may be in, if there are areas of the country like California trying to keep businesses afloat during this very trying time, or you have individuals who are trying to navigate whatever it be, unemployment insurance, or those tax, the $1,200 checks from the IRS, whatever it may be. Now is the time that your representatives need to be working for all of you. And I mentioned that I started 25 years ago. I started out in constituent affairs for both a congressman as well as a state representative. And it is amazing how much faster the wheels of government can turn when you have a legislative representative willing to make calls on your behalf. So I strongly encourage all of you to keep that in the back of your minds. There's obviously already a crush of applications for various programs. So I just want to kind of put that out there as we all try to navigate this to get to the other side. But that's an arrow that you can have in your quiver.
So Tony, thank you so much. And so everyone knows Tony and Craig Ketzler and Kevin Fitzgerald have been our advocates for many, many years, and particularly not only were ahead and kept us informed of AB5, the independent contractor issue, but were also part of the influencing of the legislation. And so Tony, I believe if I get on the California website, we can get a list of all our local congressional leaders to make sure we get our policies and make sure we get our questions and comments to the right people.
Yeah, questions and comments in terms of what's being out there, we can deal with that. Craig's fantastic doing that. Obviously, CAG pays me to do that as well. What I'm kind of referencing, Len, is if we have some business owners on the call that are looking to access some of these pots of funding that are going to be out there. If we have folks on the call who either directly or indirectly represent individuals who are really going to need those IRS checks sooner than later to contact your congressman or woman, if there's programs in whatever state some of the folks might be on that their governor and or legislature has proffered to help businesses and individuals navigate over the next couple of months, to contact those folks as well. So it really is, Len, more not putting off what we could offer everyone on the call, but when it comes down to actually putting through an application, trying to access these pots of funding directly, while we can be helpful, certainly a congressional representative or a state representative can really make a big difference in getting access to those funds, or just getting, frankly, answers to specific questions about where an application might be in the process. They can be extremely helpful in that. Not a lot of people really avail themselves of that, and that's why I wanted to take my time today to mention those opportunities.
Okay, thank you, Tony. Everything is becoming so important. As I said, we've moved quite a ways from just whether a golf course is open or closed. So thank you, Tony. And we're going to circle back, Seth, if you're still with us. A couple of comments, please, on the Ryder Cup and the situation in Frisco. What's happening in Frisco? Are we on hold? Are things still being developed and constructed?
I'm sorry, Len, was that for me?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, great. Yeah. So, in the order you asked, on the Ryder Cup, we're hopeful that September is, so you'll see release on the schedule overall, probably early to mid next week from the tour. I would say that the bodies have been working incredibly well together. Jay Monahan has been an amazing partner. We have been, treated very well in this thing, but everybody has been, and everybody's trying to get as much as the calendar in as we possibly can, as well as, the majors. It'll be an odd year. It'll certainly be back end loaded, obviously, but, hopefully it'll be, a special year in the sense of that compression. And if it doesn't work out, it's not for lack of trying. It's because, nature won't let us get it going. But the hope is that golf will, at that level, start sort of probably mid-June, I'm guessing. And I mean golf at championship level. Unclear whether you'd have fans or not. But we have a nice theoretical spot in sort of later in the summer at Harding Park for our championship, and then Ryder Cup, hopefully as scheduled in September. It would be odd for us, I think, to I think we can hold a PGA Championship without fans if that's what the world allows. Obviously, we don't want to. I think the Ryder Cup is more of a struggle without fans. It's kind of what it's all about, but we'll see how that plays out. And as far as Frisco goes, we are, the golf courses are really the one thing that's under construction. That has been deemed essential. Frisco is definitely in a lockdown, but our crew, Gil and Bo Welling, have been able to work throughout. It's been kind of a crappy weather. We've had a ton of rain, and the soil is clay. So John spent more time out there than I have, but every time you go, you just can't believe what they're able to do with this mud that you really can't move. It's like you take 3 steps and you have like Frankenstein boots on. It's amazing that what they're doing, but they're putting in 60 miles of drainage. Very conscious of the floodplains, and so we're on track there. As you can imagine, construction is up in the air, but we are still on track. So we're actually on track for the golf courses, which will be grassing in the fall, and the construction on our actual building is not scheduled to start until late summer, early fall, and we're still very much on track for that if we want to be. We do have an ability to slow that down. We had about 6 or 8 months of wiggle room. The resort is now on hold. They had started some construction there, but as you can imagine, being in the resort business or the hospitality business is not a great business to be in right now. Omni is an incredible partner. Again, they're paying for the golf course and continue to go forward, but they've slowed down on the construction of the resort for obvious reasons. When you go from 90% occupancy to 0, it's a tough business model. They have no debt, so they can weather this. They're furloughing, they're doing all kinds of things, and we think they'll be. We know they're a great partner and they'll be fine, but they're being prudent about that. So the whole thing, long-winded way of saying it should still be, we think June of 22 as a delivery date is still realistic. We thought we were going to be way ahead of schedule, and now it's feeling like, June of 22 might be more on track.
Thank you, Seth. And having had the opportunity to visit Frisco, I will say that I agree with you that the amount of work that's been done is absolutely amazing. And also it's going to be something that we're going to be very proud of as an association. So thanks so much. So I'd like at this time to turn it over to Greg Raleigh. And Greg is a section member here in the Northern California section and has been for quite a long time. And Greg, thank you for being with us today. We've got some questions for you already, but Greg, we'd love all to share your information on the SBA, the inner workings, and how we can best help ourselves and help our businesses.
Thank you, Len. Good morning, everybody. Greg Raleigh here. Let's see here. To date, I have probably had several hundred emails and conversations with business owners about the SBA programs that are out right now. What I don't have any background in, and I know there's questions on, are the IRS checks and the unemployment programs. So Len and the crew that's on here, that might be something that you guys can bring in for another meeting. But for today's meeting, we're just going to cover the two basic SBA programs and some of the challenges that people are not, reasons that people are not accessing them, and try to get you guys connected on that. Len, if it's possible at all, for those that are on the video conference, can you take that shared screen and put it to sba.gov? Because that's the starting place for that. Is that possible? There we go. And just type in sba.gov.
Yep.
Okay, while that's coming up, just so everybody knows, the director of the SBA yesterday, her name is Javita Carranza, came on to a presidential press conference and said, we're trying to get $10,000 advances into every small business owner's hands out there and get payroll protection, which is a separate program that I'll go into, for every employer that's a small business out there as well. So please know that these are two very different programs that are run by the same administration under the SBA that are intended for many of you on the call today. Len, if you can click on Learn More there. And let's see where this goes here. They've been updating this site pretty consistently here. So what I thought we were going to see, go ahead and scroll down a little bit there. Let's see here. Go ahead and scroll down a little, Len, and I'll show you, for those that are on the video call, you can see, there you go, coronavirus funding options there. Click on click here at the, oh, wait a minute. Oh yeah, there you go. Either of those should take us under coronavirus funding options.
Right there?
There you go. Yep, that'd be great. And this will get us into the meat of the presentation here. Okay, this screen is getting really busy, so I'm guessing, oh good, it came up on your side really well. So scroll all the way to the bottom there, Len, and I'll kind of walk everybody that's on the video side through this. There are two programs. You've got basically the disaster loan advance, which is the $10,000 advance that is intended. And if you click on that, see, Len, where it says 10,000 advance right there? Yep. That's intended to get a $10,000 infusion into every business owner out there, whether you're sole P or a club that's got up to 499, maybe even 500 employees. And this is the important part, and this is what throws off a lot of people looking at this program. Len, go ahead and scroll down a little bit there. There we go. Keep scrolling a little bit. There's the next. There you go. At the bottom, let's see. Go back. Let's see. There it says. Oh, there it is. Can you see where it says right on that middle of oops, Len, where it says that this loan advance will not have to be repaid? Can you highlight that for everybody? Do you see that?
Yeah, right here.
The paragraph. Just go ahead and highlight that with your cursor. There you go. And they put this several times in here to let you guys know that what's throwing off people is they think this is a loan and nobody wants to take on loans. They have to legally call it a loan, but basically they've created a grant for all of you that are sole Ps up to business operations that have up to 499 employees. So I urge everyone that's basically qualifies for that to jump in there. From this page, all you have to do is go down to the bottom, just above the banner there, Len, and there's that loan advance, and click here. And you can just kind of cursor over that, and just to take them, Len, you can take them to show them the beginning pages of the application. And this is your first page of the application. It takes less than 15 minutes. It says it takes 2.5 hours or something, 2 hours and 10 minutes. It doesn't. It takes about 15 to 20 minutes for most people here. And you can see the first two categories here are businesses with not more than 500, or you can see as a sole P without employees or as an independent contractor. Those are going to be the primary radio buttons one of some people on this call are going to check. And then down below, you're going to want to check all of those that you're not in any of those categories. And once you get past that, it pretty much walks you through a streamlined process. It's not like filling out an SBA loan if you've ever done that before, because that requires about 3 reams of paper. This is literally a streamlined app that's quick, and the last screen that you have before the summary page as we get there will be your bank account and routing number so they can put the money into your account. Okay. And once again, this is for anybody who, you don't have to have employees in this program. If you're a teaching professional and you have income, put it in here. Just go ahead and apply for that because they're trying to get money into everybody's hands there. Okay. So that kind of runs through the disaster loan advance, and that's one part of the program, but that is not the CARES Act PPP program. And so we're going to go into that separately there. Len, I'm going to have you, if you can go back a page, because that PPP is just being rolled out by the banks today. It came out in the CARES Act, and it's intended for those who have payroll, which could be 1099 or W-2. And basically, there you go at the bottom of that screen, you can see Paycheck Protection Program, Len. It takes you back there. Let's see where the screen goes, because this has been changing on a minute by minute basis. Let's see where we go here. Well, while that's loading up here, what the PPP program is intended for is employers with at least one staff member. And what this is going to do for you, if you fall into that category, is it's going to give you 2.5 times your monthly payroll in a forgivable loan. And as long as you use that, so for example, if your monthly payroll is $10,000 and that includes, say, your 1099ing or W-2ing, an employee or an independent contractor, you can throw that into this application. And if yours is $10,000, you're going to get a loan. You can qualify for a loan of up to $25,000. That as long as you use that $25,000 between February 15th and the end of June for, I think it's payroll, if you have a mortgage on your property, which is not residential but commercial, or your rents, they will waive that completely. Okay, so once again, it sounds like a loan. It's not. It's a forgivable loan that basically you can call it a grant. So if you have any employees, this is a place to go. Now, just so you know how this one works, it literally rolled out today, or it's rolling out today. What we have found so far, as I was monitoring it this morning, Wells Fargo and B of A require you to have a small business account with them. US Bank, so far, I haven't proven this yet, but hasn't required that. But you're going to want to connect with them, and I haven't seen their online process come out yet. So the banks are going to be rolling this out. Local area banks over here, we've got Meadows Bank and Umpqua Bank that are participating as well. Call your banker there. Credit unions have been asked to get into the middle of this, where normally they're not FDIC. They are definitely jumping in on this program, and the government has asked them for help, because they're trying to get this money out as fast as they can, and they need all the help they can get. So basically, kind of in summary, you've got 2 different programs. One is for the disasters for everybody that's an employer or a business. PPP is for employers. And what you're running into as you're communicating to your other business owners, including realtors, hairdressers, your members, your clients, you can break through, and it's sort of this grassroots movement where we're getting the word out. These are not the same program, which is a lot of people think that they are. People think that they're loans, and they can be if you take more, but you can basically make them both grants because they're both forgivable. And there has been some challenge in completing the applications. So I'm going to work with the association's directors, whether it's Len or maybe John, to maybe get out some webinars on these, some video tutorials, or maybe some slides with guidance to manage these applications. But those seem to be the 3 areas that are getting in people's way of getting access to this money. But if anybody needs any help or has any questions, please let me know. That's it, Len.
Okay, Greg, thank you. We do have one question. I'm trying to sort it out here. It's not quite clear to me. Greg, here's one question: will commissions be included in this program? I take that to be the PPP program?
I would guess that's probably for both. But since the loan advance is $10,000, you're probably over that in anyway. PPP is supposed to be based on the bill as I read it. I'm not an attorney, but I had some attorneys look at that, and tips and commissions were all supposed to be included in that calculation. So my best answer to that is yes.
Okay.
Hey,
Okay, Greg, thank you. So Greg, what I'd like to do is
Yeah, Greg,
also,
this-
we've committed to doing these Mondays and Fridays. Is it possible for you to rejoin us on Monday?
Absolutely.
Okay, okay, that would be great. Greg, thank you.
Len, I have
So,
one question. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. And this has come up a couple times over the past few days. As an independent contractor instructor, when filling out the California EED unemployment forms, should you identify yourself as a member of a union or a non-union trade association? And if we say yes, does that mean that our PGA member number would be the local number that they're asking for? And of course, then that's going to affect what happens after that on your application. So what, should we answer yes or no, I guess is the question.
You know, that's one of the things I mentioned at the beginning is that I don't have any background in the unemployment insurance world.
Okay.
Len might reach out to find those that are. I don't know who those people are. It's not something that I've run into at all. But it's a big question that's being asked. So if you guys could track that down, maybe through your legislator or who's the right person to go to, maybe your director of business and industry. I know in Nevada, our director, it's a much smaller state. Obviously, it's easier for us to get to those people. Yeah, I would bring somebody in maybe on one of these webinars to do that.
Okay, thanks. And then we had a question about an EDIL status, loan status. Are you into that?
Yeah, that's all part of this process. What was the question?
Oh, shoot. He was asking about the process for the EDIL loan. Same
Yeah,
thing?
that's basically and I made this mistake, so I can probably answer that, Tom. I went through to try to, the early documents as these were coming out for the disaster loan advance, which is that EIDL, they were coming out saying fill out a full SBA loan application and then apply for the $10,000 advance. And so I burned through about 2 reams of paper and about 4 hours of putting this thing together. And then I found something that said a streamlined loan advance application. So my recommendation is go straight to that streamlined application that I showed you how to get to on here. That's under the disaster loan advance, the $10,000 advance, and complete it there. And it'll save you a lot of time than having to go through and do a full SBA loan application.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Len.
So Greg, again, one of the keys is that though it does say that it is a loan, we know that it is not in effect. And part 2 is it's not 2.5 hours to complete, but more within that 15 minutes to 1/2 hour, correct? Yeah.
Correct. And once again, Len, one of the things I'm running into, like I ran through the application with a hairdresser this morning, and some of the terms are sophisticated for financial, and CPA kind of people. Something we might want to put in as a best practice at the association level or HQ is, something with a video tutorial to walk you through the application so those can get on and do it kind of with them, or maybe even slide screenshots that have little comments on them with guidance on them. I think would probably be extremely effective in helping people get through some of the obstacles they've had in completing these applications.
Okay, well, Greg, that's a great recommendation. And I'll tell you what, why don't we talk about that later today or even tomorrow?
Okay.
Okay. And then Greg, we're going to invite you back for Monday to pretty much make this the topic of our talk on Monday. So we'll get into some more details as more rolls out and we learn more on how to process who's eligible and the proper classifications.
Okay.
Okay, Greg, thank you so much. And thank you everyone for your questions and comments, and keep them coming so we can field them as we move along. So I'd like to turn over to Craig Kessler. Now, Craig is the Director of Governmental Affairs for the Southern California Golf Association. Greg is with Kevin Fitzgerald. I know we're over time, but we've got some very important issues to cover. And they have the pulse of the counties and the state at the very local level. So Craig, Kevin, we'd love to hear from you on what's happening.
Len, today in California, the golf is being played in Sacramento County and San Luis Obispo County on a specific basis of social distance. It's being played sort of in Yolo County, and that is and on a very, very, very limited basis in Monterey County for private clubs under conditions that the health officer said amounted to open space, which means that public facilities or public access facilities really are shuttered in that county as well. The reason, I see some of the questions, the reason for the differentials in counties is because the way our governor determined to handle this issue from the beginning was that one size would not fit all in California. So his directive sets minimum standards that he encourages counties which cover public health in the state of California to exceed to the degree to which local circumstances or local opinion dictates. So today we have various different orders that in all the rest of the counties mount to golf being shuttered. Some of those orders are indefinite. I believe the Bay Area counties are indefinite, although it tends to be continually extended. I know it is in Los Angeles County. There are date certains in other counties. I know Ventura's comes up on April 19th, but that is highly likely to be extended sometime soon. Many on this call probably know that the county of Riverside issued the longest shutdown order yesterday and did so with some particularly nasty references to golf. I won't get into that at this time because we're very short of time. And that's all the way to June 19th, which is coterminous with the end of the school year in Riverside County. So that's where things stand, and the reason they stand at a differential level is because of that. I know there was a question about a golf course that's in San Diego County. We'll see how that goes because that order is pretty clear that it's not permitted. With any luck, there won't be helicopters hovering today or tomorrow, and they'll be on the 6 o'clock news. The best way to look at where the golf industry thinks we're going with this, and California Alliance for Golf had a long meeting to discuss the strategy on Wednesday, is to look at the current COVID-19 crisis as sort of 4 phases. We're in phase 1 right now, and that is the entire goal of that phase is to dampen the curve of the pandemic such that those who become ill, and particularly those who become critically ill, don't overtax our medical system's ability to attend to them, so that we don't, this quote got a little mangled in the desert sun, it got taken out of context, so that, and the purpose, so that we don't end up in a position that they're on the verge of in New York and New Jersey, and perhaps even in 1 or 2 other, perhaps in Louisiana as well, literally making decisions on the fly through some kind of committees or set of protocols as to who gets the care and who is allowed to die. So that's the goal of all this. And to understand, the golf industry has never conceded and won't concede that it is among those activities that are outdoor, recreational, healthy, amenable to the social distancing protocols that are embedded in all of those orders. But understand the degree to which I keep getting emails just got one, to the degree, when are you folks going to stand up to bureaucrats? Well, keep in mind those bureaucrats are being supported by the politicians that hire them, and the politicians are responding to public opinion that hires them on every 2 or 4 years, depending on the office that they hold. And the overriding consideration right now is to get control of that curve. Now, there is a phase 2 to this. We don't know exactly when that's going to be. We hope it's in May. It might be in June. We just don't know when that's going to be. But what that is as we get back to not normality, that will not be till phase 3 or maybe phase 4, But we get back to the permission of activities like golf, like throwing, like playing catch in the park, like sitting on a picnic table, like going to a beach, that can be practiced with social distancing. Now, since we don't have the media on this call, I don't think, I can be a little freer with this. Golf did open in almost virtually every Southern California county after the issuance of these directives, because golf won that debate on the merits of being an activity that's amenable to social distancing. Amenable and actually performing are two different things. So I think one of the important things as the industry continues to make that case, and the best way to make that case is not try to get public health officers to overturn a decision that was made in order to respond to literally a life or death emergency, but to set the stage with the understanding that that time will come as we enter at the very beginning of phase 2 of the COVID-19 crisis, in which golf, along with some other things, can be permitted. But we better be ready with a set of very rigid best practices on day one of that we all plan to follow, so that because golf is extraordinarily exposed. It is very easy to drive by, walk by. People live in communities. We know John Lindert, if he's still on the call, apparently the governor of the state has to drive by his club in order to get to her house, and the mayor of the city lives across the street. So that's what I call really exposed. But the same goes. And so we will be exposed. But if we can perform, we can do that. I know that's disappointing to many of you. It's disappointing to everyone on this call. It's disappointing to every business that is now completely shut down as we head into trillions of dollars of borrowing in order to stave off an out-of-control deflation. We'll probably have some inflation at some point in the future. That remains to be seen. But keeping in mind, but we are better positioned than a whole lot of other businesses that probably won't come back until phase 4 of this crisis. And phase 4 could be in the fall. It could be beyond that. But again, I want to counsel. I'm only going to make one brief comment on this call in terms, because I know I've been contacted by some general managers in the desert who want to see what we can do to pick up the pieces there and get a little bit better on track. But it was not a wise idea to flout the law. It's one thing to argue right up to the point to the legal authorities pass a law. It's another thing to say, you've passed the law, we respect it and we'll honor it, but we don't agree with it. That's acceptable. But you really cross a line when you say, we don't agree with it, we think you're wrong, and we challenge your authority to invoke it, and so we're just going to flout it. That's dangerous territory, because it shifts the debate from where we absolutely have to have it in order to come back online at the beginning of phase 2 of this crisis, and that is golf being an activity that's to be permitted and amenable to the social distancing that we can demonstrate that we practice. We don't want the debate coming down to who's in charge, because they will always win that debate and we will always lose that debate. So we'll try to pick up the pieces there. They've handled water issues considerably different, considerably with a great deal of success in that particular region. So that's my 30,000 view of where it stands, and I want to emphasize that what I just described in terms of going for that early moment in phase 2, coming back online, I think the industry has coalesced around that. Is there going to be a lot of pain involved? You bet there's going to be a lot of pain, and that's why most of this presentation that will continue on Monday was how to deal with how to get through this, how to avail yourself of these what amounts to government grants. And to one of those questions, and I know since I work for the SCGA, we too are disappointed to find out that C6s and C7s are not eligible for any of these direct programs at this particular time, because private clubs tend to be C7s, and that's a substantial percentage of SCGA of the games portfolio, and of course SCGA itself is a C6. Anyway, that's it. I will go off. I see there's a quick question. Eligible for code 71. I will turn that over to Kevin for that specific question on the difference in code 71 and code 72. to Kevin Fitzgerald, because my hat is off to him. It took him hours of research to actually find those codes. I don't know, having found him, whether he can answer the question, but Kevin, so that's our relationship. I throw the impossible to answer questions to him. And so Kevin, see if he can answer that question quickly.
Thanks, Craig. And can you repeat the question, because I don't see that on my screen? I know it had to do with.
It says, are those industries that are in Code 71 of the IRS code, those entertainment industries, eligible for the payroll protection program? I think we're getting a good answer here, but go ahead.
So there have been some questions about what that stands for, and it's North American Industry Classification System codes. I can't specifically answer that at this point, unfortunately. I know where golf resides when it comes to the codes, but I have not read anything that would lead me to believe golf would not be eligible as part of the classification.
I would agree with that, and but that's not definitive. It's like so many other things. We're still going to work over the weekend and into Monday to try to nail that down and nail down a lot of other questions that I think were implicit in much of today's discussion, and we'll leave it at that anyway. So I know we're pressed for time, so I'll do something I'm usually loath to do, Len and Tom. I'll yield the floor.
Well, thank you, Craig, and thank you, Kevin, and thank you, everyone. As you can see, as we move on to Monday, that we're certainly going to be into the heavy details of the programs that have been rolled out, are rolling out, and as we learn how to navigate. So we really appreciate the input from everyone, because your questions help us gear the content, and then certainly, again, the unselfish time for everybody that's answering us and participating with us on a regular basis. So we just applaud everyone, and again, we hope these are very helpful. So our thanks to all our presenters, John Linder at Easterbrook, Seth Waugh, CEO of the PGA of America, Scott Wellington, Tony Rice, Greg Raleigh, Craig Kessler, and Kevin Fitzgerald. And for all of us on the call, thank you for your passion and caring about each other as we move as an industry through this. So I'd like to do at the moment, again, remind everyone, please visit scpga.com, ncpgalinks.com, pga.org for resources. We're constantly updating them with, and the list of things that are on there keeps growing. It's not just golf now, it's SBA loans, it's human resources, it's rosters of the departments of health, and we'll just keep doing that as we go. So I'd like to turn it over to our partner. And again, I can't thank enough the Southern California PGA for our partnership in going through this, and Bryce and Nikki, and I'd like to turn it over to Tom Addis.
Yeah, thanks, Len, and we'll wrap here pretty quickly. Would like a few words from the Southern California PGA president, Tony Letendre, at this time.
Hi, thanks, Tom, and thanks, Len. I appreciate all your time and dedication to this. I know you guys in the section offices have spent many hours tirelessly trying to find information and search for information and get those answers out to us, providing the surveys, those sort of things. And Kevin and Craig, everybody, thanks for the information. And Tony, that you guys are seeing on Capitol Hill. I mean, it's changing daily and almost hourly, and all the things that keep happening. We just have to stay on top of it. So thank you very much for all of those efforts. The only thing I'd like to say, just in the interest of time, is that I hope everybody keeps an eye on everything that's changing and evolving, and does the best for both their business and for their families and their employees. I think that's where sometimes we lose sight, is that there's a lot of people that have been affected by this, and hopefully we can stay in this together and support one another in all those efforts. Please make sure you I'll say this and just reiterate, I say this every time, is, make sure you fill out that survey that is sent out. Len, I assume you guys are doing the same thing or something similar in NorCal as well. I don't see those emails, so I'm just going to assume that you are and hope that you are. But make sure everybody is completing that survey for us, even if you've done it once, twice. I just did the third one last night, just to keep that information up to date, because everything at our club is changing daily, and what we can and can't do. So it's good to keep those resources. So please, even if you filled it out the first time or even the first and second time, please do it the third time for us, as it really helps get information out to everybody, and we share that. So that's all I'll say, just in the interest of time. And I know we'll be back on the call Monday with whatever happens over the weekend. But thanks to everybody for putting this together and for just a minute to say something. Tom, appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Tony. And as Tony mentioned, Monday, we will have a new program. As Len mentioned, we'll have Greg back on and a couple of other experts along with Greg and Kevin and Tony to discuss the changes over the weekend. We haven't used the word fluid very often today, but it is fluid every day. Again, be sure if you have not reported your member number for MSR credits that you contact us through our general email, or you can email Len or myself, as mentioned earlier in the show, and it's our email addresses are on our website if you don't have, or you can text me or call me at 858-775-7421 anytime. We really appreciate your time. Thanks to our panelists for taking their valuable time during this fluid situation. So thank you, everybody. Len, thanks again, and turn it back to Len to close.
Okay, Tom, thank you. Tony, thank you. And again, please be sure to reach out to us. And my cell is 707-718-3687. It is on our website and certainly on the emails that we send. So last thing, on behalf of both boards, the Northern California section and the Southern California section, the entire membership and our staffs, please, everyone, remain safe and healthy as we work our way through this. Each day is one day closer to getting past this. We are tremendously unified right now and strong as a state, having just close to 3,000 professionals, members, and associates in the state of California, our staffs and the people that are willing to work with us, and part of a 29,000 person association working to the end, and the success that comes with paying attention as we get there. So please be safe over the weekend, and we look forward to seeing you at 10 o'clock on Monday morning. Enjoy the weekend, everyone.